Okay, this video is on collecting like terms. So we've learnt what like terms are now, and today we're going to learn about how to collect them. We're going to do a quick recap first as to what exactly we mean by like terms. So like terms need two things. They need to have the same pronumeral, and they also need, those pronumerals also must have the same power. So in this example here, let me just change my colour pen. We've got an m and an m squared. Clearly that this m has a power of 1, and we can see that the powers are not the same, so not like terms. Here we have an a and an a. The powers are both 1 because we can't see a power. That means the power is 1, and we've got the same pronumeral, like terms. B squared, d squared, same pronumeral, same powers, like terms. Got a z here and a z, but then we have a k and a t, not the same combination of pronumerals. So if you have multiple pronumerals, they must be the exact same combination, not like terms. A, B, B. Now, we talked about in class how there's an imaginary multiplication sign joining this B to this A. And so we could, using the commutative law, actually swap them around and change the order in which we multiply. And then we can see that we've got the same exact combination of letters and pronumerals, pronumerals and powers. So these are in fact like terms. So BA, AB, order doesn't matter when we're multiplying. So we could just look at both of them and say order doesn't matter, they are like terms. Now here we've got a W being squared, but in my next term, the W is not being squared. This means they are not like terms. It's not enough just to have another power of 2 in the other term, because in this particular term, it's the y that is being squared, and we need the w to be squared in both and then a y, or we could have a y squared in both and then a w. So not like terms. All right, let's talk about how to collect like terms. So in this particular slide, all the terms are like terms, and when we're collecting like terms, all it means is to combine the terms so that you're basically simplifying the expression. So if there are like terms and they haven't been collected, that would be considered to be an unsimplified expression. So, and when we collect like terms, the coefficient, which is this number at the front, becomes very important, and that minus belongs to that 8. It does not belong to the 9. So if I had 9 g's and I took away 8 g's, I'd be left with only 1 g. Now, you're new to this topic, and so I don't expect students who are new to this topic to know to write G straight away, but we know now that the 1 in front, so this 1 over here is actually doesn't have to be there. If we see a letter with no number at the front, we now know to assume that that number is actually 1. So I will say to you that you don't have to write that G, and in fact I probably prefer you just write G rather than 1G. However, 1G is still correct. Here we've got 10 b squareds minus 7 b squareds. Well, that would leave me with 3 b squareds. Sometimes I'll find students trying to change this power here, but we've only ever had b squareds. They didn't change into something else like b to the power 4 or anything like that. So do not change the power of the pronumeral. Here we've got 8 ed minus 10 de. Ed, de, doesn't matter the order because it's multiplication. So they are like terms, so we're left with minus 2, that's the 8 minus 10, and you may write either ed or de, either is fine. Here we've got 9 hk squared minus 11, there's the h, there's the k squared, so they are like terms. That leaves me with minus 2 hk squared. Now I've got no coefficients here, or at least it looks I don't. Like I don't, but I do. I have a 1y, another 1y, another 1y, another 1y. That leaves me with how many y's? Leaves me with 4 y's. I didn't have y squareds. Just because I'm adding doesn't mean I start adding powers. I'm talking about y's here. So I'm collecting all my y's to make 4 y's. Here I've got 1e squared plus another e squared. That's 2e squareds. There's 1 here and 1 here. And from the 2e squareds, I'm going to subtract 5e squared. So 2e squareds minus 5e squared, that would be minus 3e squared. All right, we're getting up to powers of 3 now. Doesn't change much. We've got 2a cubes, and I'm going to minus 6a cubes. That would be minus 4a cubed plus 3. Minus 4a cubed plus 3a cubed. Well, that minus 4 plus 3 is minus 1. I can write the minus 1 if you want, and then I'm talking about a cubes. But like we said above, if you have a 1 at the front, really that's exactly the same as minus a cubed. Neither answer is better really, and that answer here, that would be perfectly fine as well. Okay. Last question, we've got p squared here and p cubed. I'm hoping at this point you say stop, because these are not like terms, which means I cannot combine them. There is no p to the 5. I'm not able to basically combine them into one term. I can't add them together if they are not like terms. And as soon as I can see the powers are different, they're not like terms. So what would the answer be? Well, it would just be the question rewritten again. So it's 6p squared plus 11p cubed. All right, let's step it up. We're going to now look at questions where there are multiple sets of like terms, and that's as hard as we're going to get in year 7. So multiple sets of like terms, I strongly recommend that you go and get your highlighter or 2 different pens, and you always run a circle or a rectangle around your sets of like terms. So for example, I've got here 19x, and over here I have minus 12x. So this minus, it's very important that it goes with the 12x. If you go and circle it or put a rectangle around it and you only take the 12x, then this minus is in like no man's land. It belongs to no one, when it in fact does belong to the 12x. And what students will often do is they will add the 19x and the 12x, and because they've forgotten about this minus over here. So it's actually very, very important. So we're going to go and put, sorry, change my pen. I'm going to go and put my circle around the minus 12x, and then you could say change colors, and you could put a rectangle or another color around the y terms, which are in fact like terms. And if I do that through this whole page, it ends up looking like this. So when you're first doing algebra, this is my strong recommendation that you do that. And from there, collecting like terms should become very, very easy. So we've got 9x's here, minus 12x, 9 minus 12, that would be minus 3, minus 3x. And then I'll combine the y's. I can see there's an imaginary 1 over here. So I've got 5y minus 1y. That would give me 4y's, but that is positive. So it'd be plus 4y. In the next question, I've got my p terms that have been circled. So I've got minus 12p minus 3. So hopefully your negative numbers are good. Minus 12 minus 3 would be minus 15p. We're becoming more negative. And then I've got p squared terms. So 2p squared over here minus 4p squared, 2 minus 4. That would be minus 2, and I'm talking about p squareds. Can't combine them any further because they're not like terms, the p and the p squared. Over here I've got fg. Fg and now that's 1fg. I'm going to put that 1 in there to remind myself. 1fg minus 3fg. 1 minus 3, that would be minus 2fg. And then because this green term here isn't a like term, what I might need to do is just add it on the end. I'll add it on the end over there, and that's the end of the question. Here I've got 3 different sets of terms that I can group. So first I'm going to group the red b squared term, so 9b squared plus 15b squared, that would be 24b squared. And then I've got the remaining 2 are not like terms, so I need to just tag them on the end. I'll write down the minus 11b, remembering the sign of the 11b is a minus, and remembering the sign of the c term is also a minus. Remember always to take that sign. And that's a few examples on how to collect like terms when there's multiple sets of like terms. I've got a little quiz for you. Here's some examples. I'm hoping you'll remember my first instruction, which was to get a pen and to group the like terms and remembering to take the sign. So these you can write down in your exercise book, give them a go, use maybe a different shape if you don't want to keep changing pen colors, use a different shape for the other like terms. Your page should end up looking like this. And then if you pause the video and do these questions, then on the next slide will be the answers. So now's the time to pause the video. Then when you're finished, unpause it and I will show you the next slide, which has all the answers to the questions. That's all from me for now. All right, pause your video. And these are the answers. So I hope you got them right. If not, you may need to go back and watch parts of the video again.